Because people need to understand that as cheap as some brands have made clothes, making a piece, making a top, a skirt is actually a lot of work. From sketching down that design to making the pattern to sewing it to ironing it to putting the label. It's a lot of work, and we should actually really appreciate clothes. We should appreciate designers, especially those who put a lot of thought and effort into their craft. What's up, K-Divas, and welcome back to the channel. This video just had to be made. So every day, I kid you not, every day I get a DM, an email, a Facebook message from one of you guys asking me, oh Kim, how do you make the patterns for this piece? How do you make the pattern for this neckline? How do you make the pattern for this dress, for this jacket? And a lot of times I actually can't really tell you like wholly how it's done because we're just like messaging. I can't really explain to you, I can't draw to you. So in this video, I'm going to be doing something that I do for every single piece I make on my channel and even for my own brand. I want to call it the garment analysis. I don't know if there's like an official name, but basically what I do is I actually study, break down, and just look at a garment in such a way that I can figure out what pattern I need to use, what fabric I need to use, what silhouette the garment is, and where sort of like the key style lines are. So I kid you not, get a notepad, a pen, I'm serious. Get a glass of water or a glass of wine, whatever rocks your boat, honestly, because I'm sort of going to be breaking down all of the things I do. So if there's a piece that you have sketched down and you want to create, you have an idea of how to actually, you know, do the construction and figure out how sewing it works. So let's get straight into this video. If you haven't joined the K-Divas fam already, I'm watching you. I'm not judging you, I'm just watching you. Let's just wait for those that haven't subscribed to subscribe. Let's just give them a moment to do that. Have you subscribed? Okay, you can make your mind up as you watch this video, but make sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell as well, so you know whenever I have new videos on the channel every single week. So let's get straight into this because it's going to be juicy. I feel like this sort of topic could become a series on the channel. So if there's a particular garment you guys want me to sort of like analyze or break down, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll sort of see which one is the most popular and possibly make it as the next video following this series. So the first thing I actually do when I sketch a design or when I see a design that I want to recreate or I'm inspired by is I actually study it. I look at the pictures. If I'm looking at the picture, the front, the back, close-up details. If I can see the garment, I actually look inside, check for all of the seams and all of the finishing, because when you study it like that, you get an idea of a lot of the details that went into making that garment. So as you're studying the garment, you would definitely notice things like the silhouette. So silhouette basically means the shape that the garment has. Is it fitted on the body? Is it loose? Does it have powerful shoulders? Does it have sort of like asymmetric cuts? Is one side longer than the other? Those sort of like silhouettes, you want to note them down. So if it's a loose garment, you know you have to sort of, when you're making your patterns, add a little bit of ease so it hangs loosely on the body. If it's a garment that is tight and fitted on, you want to construct it in such a way that it follows that same style line on your body. So just writing all those things down, it's sort of like you're already like dissecting that garment bit by bit. I think this is where my background in microbiology really comes in handy, because often we would like study microorganisms and organisms and like their organs and what makes them work. So I think I apply that a lot when I'm analyzing a garment that I want to make or a sketch that I'm trying to create for my channel or for my brand. Next thing you sort of want to figure out is something I call, or we call, style lines. So a style line is a line that is in a garment that is usually formed from a seam. So a style line could be the neckline, it could be the waistline, it could be sort of like paneling that go across, paneling that join up the center, up the back, along the side. If there are any other style lines, let me know in the comment section down below. But these style lines are often in garments because when you sew a garment together, together. You're literally joining pieces from 2D to create a three-dimensional thing that would fit on the body, that would be an accessory or whatever sort of piece that you are going for. So you definitely need seams in order to create garments. There is no way you can sew a garment without a seam, except you're making like a poncho that just goes around the neck. But I made this one shoulder green dress. So this sort of dips down here, and then it has a shoulder up there like that, and then it has like a 3/4 sleeve. And then on the side, I added a cutout detail on this side here. So that is a style line on this side of the garment. And then I sort of added paneling across the front. You can't really see it because of the fabric, but the piece actually has panels, like one on the side, one in the middle, and one on the other side. And then in the bottom is like it's an asymmetric hemline, so that is a style line. That seam there that sort of goes up high here, then deeps down there, that is a style line that sort of helps and creates that illusion that one side of that hem is higher than the other side, when in reality this skirt in the bottom is the same length all the way along. But because I moved that style line in such a way that it's high here and it's deep there, it shifted the length of this skirt, or this like flouncy bit, from one side to the other. Whew, this video is so intense. I can feel like my passion burning as I'm talking. How to actually figure out the fabric to use for a design. Oh Lord, the number of times I get asked this question is, if I got a penny for every time I was asked this question, man, I would have been bawling. Honestly, I'd have been bawling now. So this is not rocket science. It actually comes from experience. I won't tell you that I know all the fabrics for all of the designs out there, but the more garments you make, the more experience you sort of like have in terms of figuring out what fabric works for certain designs. So like this blouse I have on here now, this sleeve is nice and flowy, which means that the fabric is on the lighter side. If it was a stiff fabric, it would not be as balloony as this one actually is. You see how it moves nice and easy? Is because it's a lightweight fabric. So when you look at the design and when the model moves or when the wind blows, does that garment move? If it moves, then you know it's a lightweight fabric. If you can see the lining from just looking at the garment, you know it's a sheer fabric. But if you look at the garment and you see the sleeve is nice and stiff, or the skirt is nice and like stiff and is out there, it's either fused with interfacing or it's a stiff fabric that has some weight. So fabrics go all the way from natural fabrics to knitted fabrics to sort of like combined mixed fabrics. And fabric is something that I plan to talk about in another video in the future, because there are so many types of fabrics out there. And if you'd like me to talk about fabrics, make sure to give this video a thumbs up so I know you're looking forward to that video as well. I'm moving on to the main meat of this video, which is determining which pattern you actually need. I'm going to be using a picture that one of you guys actually sent to me recently. Her name is Guanang Doka. I'll write your name on the screen, but she DM'd you on Instagram and she sent me this nice picture of, it's a pink dress that is buttoned up at the front, it's V neckline, short sleeve, and it has a gathered waistline. So from looking at that dress, you would know, okay, this is a dress. Obviously it has buttons up the front, so you need to extend your center front line by at least an inch to accommodate those buttons. That's one. Two, it has a V neckline, so if you're working from your basic bodice pattern, or if you're tracing around your favorite t-shirt, you know you need to drop that neckline down as a V. How deep you want it to go is really up to you. Three, that silhouette is very loose. From the way she raised her hand, you can tell that the garment is very loose and is not fitted to her body. So you want to add, if your original pattern or your template was a fitted one, you want to add at least 2 inches to that to have that sort of loose fit. Then the waistline is more empire because it's slightly higher than like where sort of like natural waistlines are for women. So when you are determining how high that gathered skirt would be, it should be on the higher side because the waistline is on the higher side. The fourth thing is the skirt is gathered. So whatever that waistline is for the top, that skirt has to be bigger than it so that you can gather it back into the waistline of the top half to create that dress. Then the last thing is a short sleeve. So you know, when you're using your sleeve pattern, you have to make that sleeve pattern short up until the point that you're happy with. So just like how I went through every single aspect of that pink dress, that is how you actually look at a garment or a sketch that you want to create for yourself. Another important thing to consider is, how are you going to get in and out of that dress? Are you going to fix a zip? Is there going to be a button? Is there going to be elastic? Because oftentimes people have this beautiful sketch and I'm just like,
sis, how are you going to get into that dress?
Like, it's nice and fitted and snatched and all, but is there going to be a zipper on the side seam, on the back seam? Like, we need to talk about this though, because if you have a beautiful dress, I don't know how to get into it, you can't wear it. You just end up putting it on your mannequin and it's more for show than actually for wear. Planning the actual patterns you want to make on paper first or digitally first. Just have a plan before you actually start making the pattern pieces, because in this plan you're going to take note of your measurements. You're going to take note of how many pattern pieces that you need to cut. If I want to make this top, for example, I would go ahead and draw on paper. Okay, I need a front because there's a front here. I need a back because it needs to be attached on the shoulder. I need a sleeve, and this blouse actually has a peplum detail here on this side, and it has this transparent piece on that side. So I get an idea of how many pieces of pattern that I need to make to cut onto fabric to create this blouse. I really highly recommend you do this, because there's nothing worse than you've made pattern pieces that you thought you needed and then you realized, oh, I needed to make a facing, oh, I needed to make like a waistband, and it's just so annoying and very like uncomfortable to deal with. Once you've made your pattern pieces and you sort of have everything laid down flat, you can go ahead and measure those pattern pieces to have an idea of fabric usage. So sometimes this might be easy to do if it's just a simple garment that has maybe one piece for the front, one piece for the back, one sleeve, one trouser leg. It's easier like that. But if it's a piece that, say for example, the maxi skirt I made was 8 pieces for this skirt. It was one pattern piece, but you needed to cut 8 pieces to make the skirt. So things like that may be a bit tricky. Fabric width is about 40 inches to 55 inches, depending on how wide your fabric is. So I try to lay them on my table. My table is sort of like a good gauge, because my table is about 40 inches in terms of like width. So I lay down the pattern pieces like that, and then I measure to get an idea of how much fabric I need to buy to make my design. I usually would buy like a meter more in case I need more and I can't go back to source that fabric, so I just get a little bit extra, and that extra I can always use to make smaller DIY projects for myself or to sell on my store. This was actually so much fun to film. In talking about all of these steps, it just made me realize how much I have learned in the last few years and how much I still need to learn even moving forward. But I'd love to know what you guys think. I would love to know what garment you want me to sort of like really break down and analyze moving forward. This is not my way of reducing the value of the original designer. It's just sort of like understanding the work that goes into actually constructing a garment, because people need to understand that as cheap as some brands have made clothes, making a piece, making a top, a skirt is actually a lot of work. From sketching down that design to making the pattern to sewing it to ironing it to putting the label, it's a lot of work, and we should actually really appreciate clothes. We should appreciate designers, especially those who put a lot of thought and effort into their craft. If you haven't checked out my collection already, I'm going to link it down below. Make sure to go check it out. Use the code KDVAS for 15% off, because you guys are literally like the reason why I'm here today, and I'm very thankful for that. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know your comments, suggestions and ideas down below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.
It's not a game, it's a